from the beginning, they think, oh, from the beginning, I have to, we have to practice this one, and then after we start the main path, it is doesn't matter. Some people think like this. It is not true actually. Actually, the Jadasangya Doji, Rinpoche, last time Kenji Rinpoche told me, Rinpoche mentioned to him about the preliminary practice. Actually, the preliminary practice is from beginning to until the enlightenment. So we have to practice preliminary practice because you know in preliminary practice they have two type of preliminary practice, so outer and inner. The outer preliminary practice, it is precious life, samsara, precious life, impermanence, samsara, and karma. These four. The inner preliminary practice is bodhicitta. Taking refuge, bodhicitta, then Vajrasattva practice, and offer mandala and guru yoga. So the outer preliminary practice is very important actually. These days, the most practitioner, they avoid the outer preliminary practice and they don't care about the outer preliminary practice much. So that's why doesn't matter, even you practice a high level or whatever. So later our mind is not stable, firstly. Secondly, easy to change, how to say, um, when you look at to yourself, nothing big change, right? So this all, came from, this problem came from you didn't proper practice, you didn't the proper practice of outer preliminary practice. So that's why outer preliminary practice very important. So how? So actually, if I explain all, we don't have enough time. But briefly, I will tell you. Firstly, just recognize yourself is precious, right? Yourself is precious. So when you think yourself is precious, so then how precious you have to know. You got the human life, right? So you got dharma. So dharma is not like not only like how to say, uh, some people think, oh, dharma is like a temple. Some may think like, dharma is, when I have time I can do dharma. Like, actually no, dharma, when once you meet dharma, once you practice dharma, that means you got job in your lifetime. Because in life we have, once we're born in this world, so we all have challenge in life, different challenge. So the dharma, is a method. So finally, of course, liberate ourselves through dharma. We can achieve enlightenment for the temporary also through the dharma advice. So we improve our awareness, and then when you take the Buddha's and the Dharma advice, so you can face the many challenge in our life. So how benefit, it change our path. I mean, the Dharma is our path. Sorry, Dharma is our path. So that's why the Dharma, uh, when you receive Dharma, when you opportunity to practice Dharma, it's called precious life. Okay. So how lucky we are. Now look at yourself, right? But do but we never know, right? Do we have a guarantee when we will die, how we will die, and where we will die? No guarantee. So it's impermanent now. So impermanent. But when some of us, some of people, when they hear this word, they don't like it. But whether like it or not, it is because look at your watch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the second. The second is going like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 second, 2 seconds. So everything is changing. Changing. Summer, winter. Autumn, spring. Time is changing. And then look at yourself before you was baby. Now you are adult, right? And then in the future you become grandfather, grandmother, old, right? So everything is changed. So this morning we had enough breakfast maybe. So now hungry. So like this. So everything is changing. We cannot control natural. So that's why even right now we are lucky. So one day we will lose this precious life. So that's why before you lose your precious life, make let's make the this life is precious. It's very important. How to make the precious now? How to make this life is precious? First, you have to recognize where we are, right? Samsara. So samsara is not somewhere. Samsara is not in jail. Samsara is where we are living right now. Actually, samsara is when our mind is full of illusion, right? So it's called samsara, right? So it's create the cause and effect, karma, and then we keep in the circle in the samsara. So that's why look at the human. Actually, in our Buddhism, we talk about uh, six ram, right? So human being, and then God, demigod, and what else? Yeah, hell, hungry ghost, animal, six. But um, how to say? This six actually, this six actually, animal we can see, right? But like some of we cannot see. But when you don't see, very hard to believe. But if you think, you know, in one life, maybe one day we have this all actually. So maybe, okay, I'll give you example. When you fight with someone, maybe, or when you're in the trouble, right? Trouble, so headache and so angry, and then you have problem, and then you got headache and feel this is hell, maybe you can say, or maybe after, yeah. So uh, maybe last night you drink a lot and you got a hangover, so when you woke up you get headache, right? So it is hell, right? Then later you feel hungry. Oh, now I want to eat, right? Hungry. It is hungry ghost. And when you go to somewhere and then you got jealous, right? When you go, maybe when you go in the walk, and then when someone's better than you, you feel, oh my God, this is why they are better than me, right? Why they looks good than me? When you have ego, and then when you have ego, it is the and jealous, especially jealous, it is the demigod. And then when you have luxury, then when you have in the one day, then you think, oh, now I'm going to shopping. So you dress up, and then you dress up, and then yeah, if you look comfortable, and if you go like this, and you feel yourself is very comfortable, so this is God, right? So then, yeah, like this. So when you know when sort of this challenge, you can think deeply now. Ego, jealous, this all comes in your mind, and then you lose your method to how to face these things. And then when your ignorance is very powerful that time. So what is it? It's animal. So anyway, like this. So in the one day we also have this all suffering. So actually, samsara is not out of ourselves. So it is within ourselves when our mind is full of illusion. Then how to get out from this now? How to liberate from samsara? We have to understand the cause and effect, karma. So how it is work. So then the karma is very important. So, okay, now briefly, this is the outer preliminary practice. So, outer preliminary practice, we have to meditate actually. It's called the mind training, very important. So, if you don't meditate this one, and then if you don't practice properly on this, then that means you don't have, if you don't practice properly on preliminary practice, then that means you don't have foundation. Even you go to Dzogchen, when you practice the Dzogchen, so if you have good foundation, easy to recognize the Dzogchens, very easy to connect to Dzogchen. So if you don't have good foundation, very, you know, hard, very hard to recognize the Dzogchen, the Rigpa, and then very, hard to success the Dzogchen practice. So even you reach the Dzogchen, no matter, right? If you have the enough merit from your previous and good connection, then it's different talks. Otherwise, for the general, so you may fall down later. So that's because if your house foundation is not good enough, so when earthquakes come, so it's easy to just broke down. So like this. So that's why how to say preliminary practice is very, very, very important. So uh, even my master Rinpoche, he mentioned, uh, you know, when you practice, even you practice the Dzogchen main path, so you can every morning, so you can practice, Gandhi Rinpoche said, this outer preliminary practice, precious life, impermanent, karma, samsara. I can meditate. I can meditate every morning before I start the real path of ngondro. So he's mentioned that this is very important. It's always change our life. So uh, morning, our habits change the day. So that's why. So let's make the small habit. Okay. So 5 minutes. 5 minutes practice on this outer preliminary practice. How precious ourselves. But this precious life is impermanent. But before I lose this precious life, I want to make this one is meaningful life. So for this, I'm going to practice. If you think like this, so this four outer preliminary practice within this thinking. So this is very important. And then you can practice the inner preliminary practice. Then inner preliminary practice is taking refuge, bodhicitta. So taking refuge is very important, and bodhicitta also very important. So if you want to success your practice, if you really want to success, if you really want to get what you want, sometime we don't not something actually we don't have enough power to get what we want, so we need someone's support. What is it? It is blessing. So blessing from three jewels: Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. So it is the invisible, but it's powerful than the visible. So but for receive this blessing, uh, devotion is very important. But before devotion, belief. Devotion, belief, I think they have different. So let's think, how is it actually? So devotion make you more bright and improve your wisdom. But belief, just you believe, that's it. But belief is important before your devotion. So that's why anyway, believe to this blessing and then taking refuge to Buddha Dharma Sangha, and then through this blessing, then um, you know uh, in the future we will achieve enlightenment easily. And then bodhicitta practice is very important. What Rinpoche said, without bodhicitta and taking refuge, actually they have the different yoga mantra in Buddhism. So it seems like other religion. So you cannot differentiate. So this too is the how to say, is special in Dharma. So these two, but in these two, if you go very deeply, they have very meaningful. Example, outer tutorial, inner secret. So outer is the Buddha Dharma Sangha. Inner is how to inner is uh, inner taking refuge is, what is it? Um, Guru, Deva, Drakini, and then, yeah, then secret is, you know uh, the the channel and the energy and thigle the kar lag gyu la thigle. I don't know how to say thigle in English, but thigle. So anyway, um, so this, uh, they have deep meaning, even in the taking refuge. And bodhicitta practice is more focused in love and compassion, is make you bright, make your mind capacity is broad, big. And then when our mind is too narrow, how uncomfortable ourselves, right? So bodhicitta practice make your mind is so broad, because you have to give compassion to the infinity sentient beings, equality. So that's why it's make your mind is broad, right? And then Vajrasattva practice, it is remove your all negative energy, because the negative energy, bad karma, is obstacle to, when you achieve enlightenment path. So that's why. So we have to practice this one, and then offer a mandala. We have to, accumulate the merit. Otherwise, if you don't have enough merit, so that means when you jump, when you try to reach somewhere, so when you jump, so if you don't have any enough support, so hard to reach up like this. So we need the supporter. So this supporter is merit. Then guru yoga practice is very important. Without guru, no enlightenment. Without guru's blessing, no enlightenment. So that's why the guru yoga practice is very, very important. So now this is all brief explanation of the preliminary practice. So now I want to let you know, um, the earlier which I gave the launching intake, the short practice, preliminary short practice. You can get this one from Lord Our House in internet. Yes, in internet. So this name is, okay, the excellent path to enlightenment, a brief practice of the preliminary. This one. Okay, so that's it today. So um, now I think some of you are beginner. So if you are a beginner, then for my advice is for 1 month or maybe for 1 week, just you can practice um, precious life, impermanent, and then this impermanent karma and samsara on this outer preliminary practice. At least you can uh, practice. You should practice for 1 week minimum. So this, now we all have phone and chat GPT and AI on Google, so you can ask them what is the outer preliminary practice in Buddhism. So they will explain you. So just you can read, and this meditation called analytical meditation. So just you can think, and you can read and think, and then you can practice like this for 1 week. Then you can practice the you know um, inner preliminary practice with the prostration. Actually 10,000, 10,000 is enough. So if possible 100,000 each like taking refuge is 100,000, bodhicitta is 100,000, and then uh, other rest of our all are 100,000. You have to practice, but we don't have time, right? We don't have time, and we are busy life, so 10,000 is enough. So 10,000, 10,000, 10,000. You can practice. So, but don't, try to finish it fast. If you try to finish it fast, then you focus to count, not, you focus to the quantity, not to quality. So quantity is important, but more than this, quality is more important. When you practice, don't be fast, slowly, and focus, and then give time to yourself. Okay, and mm, okay, so okay, then I think today that's it, and now my teaching and the transmission is finished. And I would like to say thank you so much for everyone to join and all the best for your practice. Thank you.
Rinpoche, the Nova Molamchik Soroche dedication.
Okay, now we're going to dedicate the merit to all sentient beings, okay? Senamde Tomje Zigba Nye Tomne Nyebe Danam Pomje Ne Giga Nache Balon Chobai Sibi Tole Donam Tewa Sho Namke Tato Tae Simje Namanbe Shindo Kosum Nijuru Kama Dodo Simje Maleba Chamje Dime Sala Chimba Sho Olasum. That's awesome.
Lasso Rinpoche, Tanaso Seldak Kashich Shugin, Darun Polen Gene, Kacho Yongere, Dire, Karam Pebna Dixadura.
That's it. 그 인지솔로 송구나 콩카시디 죽다 디스메도 나
Injitola Orusukela Nika Sungin,
라스
Labgin Shigin.
나 라스.
We have few announcements. First, I will do in Russian, after in English on main channel. Please wait few minutes. If so, just few announcements. Thank you so much for joining us. It was our first time like doing this, so I'm asking your pardon for some technical inconvenience, etc.